This is Story Recapped. Today I'm going to explain a drama mystery thriller film called The Invitation. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. In a local suburb in Los Angeles, California, Will drives with his girlfriend Kira to a dinner party at the house he shared with his ex-wife, Eden. On their way, Kira notices that Will has a lot on his mind and tells him that they could back out of attending, but Will assures her that everything's fine. Will tells Kira how Eden met her new spouse in a grief counseling group before their divorce. Suddenly, Will's car unintentionally hits a coyote. He ends its life with a tire iron to stop its agony. Upon arriving at Eden's house, Will briefly remembers a little boy playing in the living room. His old friends, who haven't seen him in 2 years, greet him. Gina hugs him right away, while Tommy makes fun of him before welcoming him, followed by Miguel, Claire, and Ben, who are happy to see him. They also give Kira a warm welcome. Gina tells them that her boyfriend, Choi, is running late. Eden comes down the stairs and hugs Will as soon as she sees him. She then welcomes Kira and introduces her new partner, David, to the rest of them. As the four get to know each other, their friends sit awkwardly at the back. Delighted, David invites everyone to a drink. When Will declines, Tommy advises Will to drink the wine as they have expensive wines in the house. Still, Will refuses to drink, but Kira gladly accepts a glass. While everyone toasts their drinks, Will spots a half-naked woman staring at him from a bedroom. Eventually, Sadie, the naked woman for earlier, emerges. She then kisses David on the cheek, making everyone uncomfortable. Eden met Sadie in Mexico and is staying with them to help them out. To put off the awkward tension, Kira tells them about the coyote they accidentally hit during the drive. While everyone despises what happened, David compliments Will on putting the creature out of its misery. A little while later, Will enters the kitchen to get a glass of water. He recalls a pain-stricken Eden attempting to commit suicide with a knife over the same sink. At the present, Eden comes into the kitchen with him. He inquires about why there are bars on the windows, to which she responds that she acquired them for security reasons when she was living alone. She brings up her time in Mexico again and tells them how it helped her recover from pain. Will notices that there is something different about her, in which Eden agrees and adds that she is pain-free now and she hopes that he will be too. Ben then appears, wondering what they're talking about. Eden explains that grief and pain are only chemical responses that can be adjusted and eliminated from their bodies. Ben mocks her new worldview and tells her that she sounds like a pamphlet. She laughs it off, but when he says the philosophy sounds crazy, she slaps him across the face and walks out. Will asks Ben if Eden has been acting weird all night, which Ben agrees and adds that David seems a little strange too. Ben then inquires about Will's well-being in the light of everything that he's been through. Will reluctantly admits that he doesn't know how to act in front of Eden and David. When they return from the kitchen, Eden apologizes to Ben and offers him a drink, which he vows he will never reject. Claire takes Will to the stairs to catch up. A car arrives outside and they assume it's Choi. However, Pruitt, a stranger who appears to be special to Sadie, Eden, and David, enters. As Pruitt greets the group, Gina complains about Choi's delay and the lack of cell service in the village. Meanwhile, Will catches David locking the door. He tells Will that approximately a month ago there was a house invasion in the canyon. Will proposes that David leave the key on the door if they need to escape in an emergency, to which David agrees. Then, Eden asks Will to collect some firewood as he knows where to get them. Will pauses near a bedroom before proceeding to the backyard. As he walks to the backyard, he appears nostalgic as he hears children laughter in his mind. Suddenly, Will notices Eden entering her bedroom and stuffing something in her bedside table. Will returns to the living room with the firewood and then enters Eden's bedroom. He discovers an unlabeled bottle of pills and steals a few of them. He walks around the master bathroom and remembers Eden and him in the bathtub with their son walking in to say goodnight. Meanwhile, everyone in the living room is discussing how Eden, David, Sadie, and Pruitt are members of a cult called The Invitation, which is why they were in Mexico. The others are joking around about it, but David informs them that it is a support organization for grieving people with thousands of members worldwide. As they continue to inquire, David shows them a recruitment video. In the video, Dr. Joseph, their leader, informs them that the human brain has the potential to heal and that the doctor has dedicated his life to rewiring terrible events. He assures them that they are not alone and that they will transform. It then switches to a woman in bed surrounded by the leader and members who watch her die. The scenario frightens the non-members in the living room. Eden assures them that the woman was ill and allowed her death to be filmed to teach the others that there's nothing to be afraid of. David supports Eden by informing them that he used to take cocaine to deal with his pain, but he changed since joining The Invitation. On the other hand, Eden claims that she is finally happy despite the grief she used to experience every day. It upsets Will because it appears so easy for her to move on while he's still hurting from the past. The doorbell goes off. Pruitt and David answer the door and speak with several unidentified neighbors. During this, Gina approaches Will and apologizes for keeping her distance throughout the years. She confesses that she wanted to give him space and process his sadness. Will, however, is distracted by David at the front door, who informs him that it was simply some neighbors looking for a party. Later that night, Will gives Miguel, a doctor, the medications he stole from Eden's room. Miguel identifies them as a barbiturate, which is only dangerous if taken in large doses. David gathers the men and serves wine once more, and they all toast. When David and Pruitt leave, Will asks Tommy and Miguel whether they think this night is unusual, but Tommy assures him that it's only a friendly and harmless gathering. To make up for forcing everyone to see the video, David recommends playing I Want, a game they learned in the invitation in which everyone states what they want. Sadie begins by expressing that she wants to tell everyone she loves them, naming each person in the room. Sadie then gives Gina a passionate kiss on the lips. Everyone laughs it off, and now it's Gina's turn. Gina tells David that she wants cocaine, and when David proceeds to give her some, she tells him that she was joking, but he tells her that she wasn't, which is the point of the game. During Pruitt's turn, he talks about his wife Margaret. He shares how she died after he got into a discussion with her and hit her, causing her to fall and strike her skull. Pruitt informs him that he served time in prison for his fault, but didn't overcome his anger. He didn't become a better person until he joined the invitation, and he can't wait for the day that he sees Margaret again. Claire becomes uneasy as if they're being sold something with all the chatter about the invitation. Suddenly, Eden interrupts and says that she wants to kiss Ben. He plays along by giving her a peck, but Eden passionately kisses him instead. Some cheer him on, but some, including Claire, seem uncomfortable with it. She expresses her desire to leave. David tries to persuade her to stay, but Will reminds him that he should let her go if she wants to. Claire bids everyone farewell, but Pruitt has his car parked in front of her, so he joins her to move his car. As they walk away, Will looks out the window, suspicious. Pruitt moves his car to allow Claire to exit, which makes Will initially satisfied. But Pruitt intervenes as Claire is ready to drive away. Will is watching when David interrupts, persuading him to talk to him alone. When David discusses why Will is so suspicious of him and Pruitt, Will apologizes, stating that he wasn't prepared to return to the house that he shared with Eden and their son. Will also asks him not to try to convince him to join the invitation again, to which David agrees. During the dinner, Will seems mentally preoccupied while his friends enjoy the meal. It reminds him of when he, Eden, and his friends happily ate together during their son's birthday. This was when a kid accidentally hit his son with a baseball bat, resulting in his death. After dinner, Will goes outside to clear his mind and gets a signal from his phone to find out why Choi hasn't arrived yet. On his way to the yard, he notices Sadie making bizarre facial gestures in the mirror. Sadie follows him outside into the backyard and starts flirting with him, telling him that she feels that things aren't going well with Kira. She even offers herself right there. When he refuses, Sadie tells him how men and women would frequently have intercourse spontaneously in Mexico. She promises Will to make him like her so much that he will beg her without touching him. Will declines her approach and orders her to go inside. Later on, Tommy greets Will outside. Will expresses his concern about the party, but Tommy informs him that Claire just left because she felt awkward and Choi is unreliable, so his absence is not odd. Tommy tells Will that his strange behavior is frightening people. Tommy hugs him and assures him that everything is going to be alright before going back inside. Suddenly, Will's phone chirps as he temporarily receives a signal. Will listens to a voicemail from Choi who says he arrived early at the party and is about to walk in but forgot to bring the dessert he promised. Choi requested for him to get a dessert instead and bid him goodbye before entering Eden's house. Will joins the group at the dinner table. Suddenly, the light turns off, and Eden enters carrying a birthday cake for Miguel, whose birthday was a week away. When the lights are on, Will asks where Choi is, informing them about the message he received while Choi was standing outside the mansion. Eden and David claim Choi never arrived, and everyone tries to calm Will down. But he chastises the others for being polite and insists that something isn't right there. After a 2-year absence, Will wonders why they invited them to a meal with 2 strangers from the cult. He criticizes the invitation, claiming that it was a brainwashing platform that trains individuals to ignore everything by erasing their grief. Will begs Eden to tell them where Choi is and questions David why the windows are barred and the doors are shut. Kira tries to persuade Will to leave when suddenly the doorbell rings. When David opens the door, Choi finally arrives and claims that he had to go back after arriving early because he received a call from work. Everyone looks at Will as if he's officially insane. In tears, he apologizes to David and Eden for questioning the invitation. To get back to his senses, Will washes his face in the bathroom, reminding him of when he taught his son how to wash his hands. Later on, Kira joins him as he sits outside. Will admits that he's not okay because he's still grieving his son's death. He tells Kira that he doesn't believe she can assist, which bothers her, and she returns inside. Eden cuts the cake when Will enters the room. He requests access to their son's bedroom, to which Eden permits him. Will turns around and remembers his son asleep inside. From the bedroom, he sees David lighting a red lantern on the edge of the backyard, making him wonder what David is up to again. As he walks through the bedroom, Will finds a laptop on which plays another recruitment video. The video shows the leader who reminds the members not to be afraid and to remember that they will receive their reward when they complete the steps, believe, and give themselves over. While the leader tells the cult member watching the video that he loves them, Pruitt knocks on the door and informs Will that everyone is waiting for him. A little while later, Pruitt escorts Will downstairs, where David pours another glass of wine for everyone. David then recommends that they all take a minute to gaze at one another before raising their glasses to toast for a brighter world and peace. Gina immediately sips her glass, while Will shatters everyone's glasses and tells them not to drink. He tells Kira that they are going. Sadie goes insane, accusing Will of ruining everything. He pulls her away, slamming her into a dresser as she attacks him. Worried, everyone gathered around her, fearful that the strike to her head had killed her, just like what happened to Pruitt's wife. While the group is distracted, Kira screams, "She's not breathing." Everyone panics, but turns out that Kira was referring to Gina, who is frothing at the mouth. Miguel attempts CPR on Gina when suddenly David shoots him with a gun. Pruitt takes David's gun while Kira, Ben, and Will back away. Pruitt then shoots Choi and flees to another area of the home. The three non-members attempt to escape, grabbing Tommy with them, but he is enraged by the sudden death of his friends and attacks David. However, Sadie rises and slices him with a knife. Meanwhile, Kira, Will, and Ben run downstairs when suddenly Sadie appears and chases Ben. Will shoves her away and they lock themselves in a room with barred windows, where they witness David stabbing Ben in the backyard, followed by Pruitt, who shoots Ben dead. Terrified, Kira cries inside of the room while Will tries to reassure her that they will survive by doing whatever is necessary. After all, the cult members are only humans, just like them. They return to the living room where Will hears David comforting Eden, who is upset about all the brutal murder that is taking place instead of the poison they planned. David assures her that they were selected and that this is how they will depart the earth, along with all the pain that they have carried. Will waits until both have left before heading upstairs to an exit that leads to the garage. Will notices Sadie dying on the couch after impaling herself with a fire poker, which he takes from her lap as she suffers in pain and cannot make a sound. Upstairs, Will discovers that the garage door has been removed. Suddenly, Pruitt approaches, armed with a gun. As soon as he enters the room, Will knocks the gun out of his grasp and they fight with their bare hands. Kira then assaults him with a fire poker until she kills Pruitt. In the hall, they run into Eden, who shoots Will in the shoulder. Eden apologizes before shooting herself in the stomach, prompting Kira to get the gun. Now that David is the last surviving cult member, he wields a butcher knife and shouts for Eden downstairs. Will informs David that Eden shot herself, making David happy as he utters, "She is with them now." Will and Kira notice that the gun is empty, but still, Will tells David to not approach since they have a gun. David appears unconcerned with his death because the time has come. Suddenly, Tommy, who survived the attack, knocks him off the stairs and stabs him in the heart. At the same time, Eden, who's still holding on to life, sobs as she tells Will that she too misses their son. Eden asks him to take her outside, so Will and Kira carry her. At the yard, Will, Kira, and Tommy stand by as Eden takes her last breath. They hug each other, traumatized by what happened. While Tommy rushes inside to obtain Miguel's body, Kira and Will walk to the side yard and discover that the village is lit up with the same red lanterns that David lit up earlier. The two hold each other's bloody hands as they hear sirens, dogs barking, faint screams, and helicopters whirring all over the village. Finally, when it all seemed to end, the sense of relief is abruptly cut off. Will and Kira notice several red lanterns in the darkness while staring at the village. When David lit the red lamp before he gave the poison drinks, it symbolized the start of their cruel plans. The Invitation is a cult that believes the only way to achieve peace is through death, and it appears that they brainwashed many people in Los Angeles. Will and his friends are not the only ones lured into the Invitation's sadistic plans.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.